Anyways, welcome, Tom.
Glad to be here, Harry.
Appreciate it. So you're coaching right now. I want to go back because we interviewed you about a year ago, and I think we just talked mainly sort of basketball. So I want to go back a little bit. We were just talking about it. Let's do some, a little bit of history because your family came over here how long ago?
Family arrived actually, my great-grandparents, but it was actually my grandmother, Lena, was a very young child, of course, Lena's restaurant. Actually, they arrived initially in Eureka. That was back in the day when the trains ran from Eureka down through Santa Rosa to Stockton. And they came through Ellis Island. A lot of the immigrants ended up in the northern part of the state and came down. And a lot of them settled in Sonoma County, a lot of the Italians, because so much like where they came from, Tuscany,
wine country,
the valleys,
yeah,
the whole thing, yeah.
And being able to grow everything. And do
exactly.
It makes sense.
And my family was from Mesa Carrera, which is where the white marble, the stone quarries are.
Mm-hmm.
So most of them were quarrymen. But my grandmother actually came in her family, which was the Battalias.
Oh, yeah.
They settled in Santa Rosa and opened a kind of a bed and breakfast because the train stopped in Santa Rosa in 1870.
Wow.
Okay. And then in
How long is Santa Rosa? It couldn't have been a city that much before that then.
No. In fact, Petaluma was a city before Santa Rosa.
1858, I think, for
Petaluma.
Yeah,
right about the time Santa Rosa became a city.
So not long after the city actually became a city, your family had a place there.
Back in the day, it was a train stop, and you had one street. It was 4th Street. It was a real small village, a lot of Italians, and the train would stop there, and that was on the west side down on West 6th Street.
Mm-hmm.
And initially, the family had essentially an upstairs in some rooms. The train would stop. They would stay overnight. My great-grandma and Lena eventually would fix breakfast with like a bed and breakfast. They'd take the train out, and everybody said the food was so good, you should open a restaurant. That's where you get Lena's Bon Gusto, which meant good fare in Italian.
Uh-huh.
And it was the Bon Gusto Hotel from 1890 until the Second World War. And then my grandmother changed the name to Lena's after my grandmother was the matriarch.
Yeah.
Lena's Dine and Dance, yeah. And of course, that was open and it didn't close till 1993. So yeah, a lot of years there.
Yeah. Well, what you said, 107 years? Total?
Yeah, about 103. Yeah.
103.
Yeah.
No, that's quite the legacy. This is generational. Then
I'm third generation. Yeah, 3 generations.
So some of the stories I heard about, you had quite a few celebrities kind of come through there too, right? I mean, it was like north of San Francisco. It was sort of the spot to go to, right?
They like to come up because they have some privacy. And yeah, my mother knew Betty Davis and Joan Crawford. Henry Morgan was pretty regular. Fred McMurray, of course, of Disney fame. He had up there by Headwaters Ranch. He had his ranch. And but yeah, celebrities, a lot of professional athletes. Of course, the Raiders, remember, trained at the Rail Ranch of Tropicana.
Yes.
So yeah,
how can we forget that?
Yeah, memorable.
You're talking Bamboo Room and it's
Refectory. Yeah, those were good days.
Yeah, those were good days up there, and then good for the economy.
Very good. Yeah.
So did you work there at all, or do you?
I learned a little bit of the skills. My brother knew more. My brother, after my father died when I was only 18, my brother Jerry, who wanted to be a teacher and a coach, eventually took over the kitchen in the restaurant with my uncle.
Because your dad cooked too, right?
My dad ran the kitchen.
Yeah.
Pastor Jerry took the kitchen over, thank God, and helped me get through college.
Yeah.
And my dad's brother Cupie took a bar end of it. And my grandmother passed away in 1972, shortly after my father. Okay, and I went to Santa Clara.
Right.
And graduated in 1975. But yeah, that was real hard, losing them both in the same year.
Yeah, that's a rough year.
Yep.
And that's right after you graduated from high school.
Yeah,
right?
it was my freshman year.
71, right?
That's right. 71. I graduated. Yeah, it was the fall. It was like early 72.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. You never predict what's going to happen, right? I mean, you just got to.
What a difference a day makes.
Yes. Yes. So let's go back a little bit too. So St. Rose.
Went to St. Rose, had the wonderful Ursuline nuns. Loved them to death. I remember my first grade teacher, we called them mothers, not sisters, Mother Thaddeus. And my favorite teacher was Mother Marietta, who for the first time in my life, actually, I began to like math. She was my 7th and 8th grade teacher. She eventually became the Mother Superior for the Ursuline nuns in the Western United States.
Wow.
Quite a lady.
That's a
Mother Marietta Divine.
Yeah.
And then I went to Cardinal Newman, Precious Blood Brothers. It was started by the Precious Bloods. That was right when Cardinal Newman opened. I was in the 4th graduating class.
Yeah, because Newman opened in 64?
Yeah, in the first graduating class, 68. My first cousin Randy was in that, Marcia's sister.
And Jerry not far behind.
Jerry was in the 2nd. I was in the 4th. They had 3 Bonfiglis at one time. That's a load. Yeah.
And they survived.
And they survived, exactly. Always had plenty to eat. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah. So St. Rose, you enjoyed that then, right? And you were altar boy and did all that? And...
Yeah, I had the Mass pretty well down to Latin in 3rd grade. Monsignor Tabby used to see the 645 Mass altar boy. I'm still real close to my faith, but
yeah, of course.
My family's real strong Roman Catholic.
Yes, yes.
I still hold that in my heart. That's important.
Well, and I know that a lot of, the influences in your life too. And then we'll talk about those, the Ed Lloyds and the John Fitzgeralds and those kind of guys were also, devout as well. And I think you learned a lot from both of them. And we'll talk about that in a minute here. So, but St. Rose, yeah, you learned the Mass in Latin. You had that all memorized.
The Mass was said in Latin until the Second Ecumenical Council, then eventually English. But growing up, all your responses in the Mass, and I see the 645 with Monsignor, were in Latin.
We're in Latin, wow.
I still can recite the Confiteor.
I bet.
Yeah,
I bet.
I can.
So from St. Rose, then you're on to Cardinal Newman. So your brother or your other brothers, everybody's going there, right? I know Jerry was big in sports. So your other brother
I had my half brother, my older one, Terry, went to Montgomery, was a star basketball player with Bob Butler.
Oh, wow.
When Montgomery first opened, when Santa Rosa had the great teams with Bill Zollner, it was Santa Rosa and Montgomery. It was an incredible rivalry.
Oh, yeah, that was huge.
But, Terry and Bob Butler, they were tremendous guards. I remember as a young kid going to watch them play, and then Terry went and played at JC for Coach Albaugh, and then eventually, Terry ended up in Vietnam.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember those Santa Rosa Montgomery rivalry was just huge because both teams were so good. And most in all sports, but really in basketball, it was where that
they used
huge
to
rivalry was.
They used to sell the pre-sale tickets, and getting one of those tickets was like getting a golden ticket.
That's right. Yeah,
you couldn't get in, and those gyms were not that big. Yeah. Not when you start talking about the whole town going.
Yeah.
Hard to get in.
No, it was hard to get. Yeah, but was it? So Cardinal. So Jerry was playing there. Jerry was the quarterback
and the point guard.
Kind of like same as you.
Same with me.
Right. So
yeah.
You just sort of traded uniforms there. It's like
that was Coach Lloyd's doing, Coach Fitzgerald's doing, but Jerry was an exceptional athlete.
Yes.
As a quarterback, they went 7-1-1 with only 3 returners. Tied and lost a 1-point game to Antley, 7-6. Ed Gary Neville had the really good team of Suramoto and those guys. Yeah. And then, of course, my 2 years, we never lost a football game.
Right.
And then
you were 18-0 at Newland, right? 9-0 both years.
Yeah, and then Jerry had the really great season as a senior, 23-2, losing only to Piner in a controversial 1-point game, and then
I remember that. Yeah.
Were beat by Petaluma. Like we were talking about Pete Daggett in that really good Petaluma team. Mm-hmm. They beat us up at Cardinal Newman. Yeah.
Yeah, Piner had some good teams.
Gaddy got his guys to play Gaddy's way. You're right. That's exactly right.
They were always. I mean, that school, I think, as far as being known for something, has always been basketball there. As far
Well, you got to remember when Coach Gaddy coached, there was no shot clock.
Okay, so
Because that game they beat Cardinal when Jerry's was 29-28.
okay, so they were just almost like the four corners, the old.
Yeah, working it and
I'm
working
glad they
it.
got rid of that whole business. And
Yeah,
actually went to a shot
no,
clock,
exactly. It was a different
'cause that
game.
was, nonsense, basically. That
Exactly.
whole period, of the four
Yeah.
corner. Anyways, yeah. So Jerry, he was co-captain in '69. The basketball, and they started having some real success. I mean, he went to the Rose City tournament, which had just started a couple of
They
years
won
before,
that,
or whatever.
yeah.
They won that. They were what they lose like 2 games that year.
23-2.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's sort of the start of like the real sort of legacy of.
The athletic legacy really begins with Jerry's class, and it goes from there.
Mm-hmm.
You look at the 70s was remarkable. I mean, Coach Lloyd, we had the 23 years, had the state win streak. I coached football too. We won 47.
That's right, you had 47 in a row, right?
Well, we had 30 in a row in the streak when I was there. We lost in 72, and then he went on another streak for 47. So
if you combine those, you were like what 70 something
and probably
and
in
one.
2 or 3, yeah. No, he had an incredible run, yeah.
Well, while we're talking about that, let's talk a little bit about Ed Lloyd. Because one of the remarkable coaches of all time of Sonoma County.
When I think of the greats to ever coach football here, I think of Lloyd, Frenchie, and Ellison.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the 3 guys that come to my mind. I refereed high school football for 27 years after I got out of coaching and started refereeing. And those guys were the 3 real giants of coaching.
Yeah.
I mean, Coach Lloyd, remarkable record. I mean, small school, and he would get people in the right position. We weren't very physically big, but he was one of those people way ahead of the game. We were running 1 back, 4 quick back in 1970.
Okay.
Multiple motions. People were running that kind of stuff.
Now, where did he kind of get his
Coach Lloyd
philosophy?
played.
I mean, where did he kind of,
He was kind of a self-made athlete, not a great athlete,
Uh-huh.
but he played down at Whittier. He was a center, and he's still stories about when he played. He was a lineman, but he really researched the quarterback position, and he had an incredible line of great quarterbacks at Cardinal Newman.
Mm-hmm.
You look at the great quarterbacks that played
yeah.
from a Cardinal
One
Newman, a
after
whole
another.
line of them.
Yeah.
Okay, and then of course he coached Paul Cronin,
Mm-hmm.
and Cronin's legacy and fame is pretty incredible too. But he's a disciple of Lloyd.
All right. He resurrected Ukiah this year.
Boy, he did. And you're going to get nothing but better under him.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, but when my father died, the first person that came to the door was Coach Lloyd. He took my brother and I for a ride, went down the city and had lunch. And the next day, the first person I saw was Coach Fitzgerald. So, we looked at them almost like father figures. They were just remarkable human beings, great love and compassion for their players. They always put their players and the feelings of their players before the game. Before the game.
Mm-hmm.
Their players are more important than winning or losing. And that's something I learned from them. I try to practice that. And, everything I know about basketball or about sports, I learned from those 2 people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm eternally grateful. I pray my rosary every day. Coach Fitzgerald's my last thank you, and it's a long one. Because he made me better at every facet of my life. If there are saints in heaven, he's one.
Wow. Well, that's a lot. Yeah. So it's now Ed. He had that remarkable streak there, and everything, but he kind of quit kind of early, didn't he? Or what was?
Coach Lloyd was kind of independently wealthy. He inherited a lot of money, oil, and he did quit kind of early. He won 200.
He won like 200.
217 games.
Yeah. So it wasn't like
And he did it in a short period of time.
That's what I mean. And he was
Coach Lloyd is 10 years older than I am. So when I was playing for him, when I was 18, he was 10 years older. So, I mean, he was a young man.
Right. Kind of like when you started coaching at Colonel Newman, you were what, 27?
27 when I began as head coach, yeah.
That's and that's something for the school too, to go with a 28-year-old, football coach, or 27-year-old head basketball coach. I mean, that's saying something about the school and how, the trust and sort of faith that they have too.
Cardinal Newman used to really invest in tradition and want to keep their people, and they went away from that.
Yeah.
Which is their choice, but the tradition was always my most profound love of the school was the tradition.
And I've seen your quotes about that.
And
too. And it's like,
and it's it's their school, it's their choice.
Right. And you had two great runs there, but I know there was some friction there, and especially in the later years, kind of thing. But so your playing career though, how big were you in high school playing?
5'10",
playing quarterback.
5'10", 155. That was wet.
Yeah.
I wasn't very big. Jerry's about the same size, about a half an inch taller. But, I'll tell you, a lot to be said in the sport about being well coached, about making good decisions. Decision making is a really important part of athletics.
But I think one of the big decisions, or you were playing JV basketball, and your coach was Ed, right?
It's correct.
And so he's the one that came to you and said, "Hey, you're going to be my next quarterback."
I was shocked.
You were like,
"Yeah,
what?"
My brother's a senior star quarterback.
You didn't play the year before, right?
I played JVs. I was a receiver and defensive back.
Oh, okay.
That was my first year ever of football, my sophomore year. So here, they have this great year. We had we had 5 really good sophomores at varsity: Jim Wilkie, Rich Dwardy, Rich Guzon, friends of mine.
Uh-huh.
And he says, "You're going to be the quarterback," and I about dropped my books. But yeah, I mean that's.
Well, and you said you took the whole summer and just kind of
throw,
and just
drop.
worked
Yes.
hard to come back and prove that he was right.
Right.
And obviously he was. You went undefeated the 2 years that you played.
Yeah.
It's too bad they didn't have like a state tournament or anything like that.
Boy, I played
playoffs.
Percy Grogan's Jim Wilkie. Jim played in the Shrine Game. Percy was, to me, still the finest running back I've ever seen around here.
Yeah. Mel Gray was pretty good.
He was really good. And, I knew Mel personally because we used to go and we used to play at South Park.
Yeah, I saw him play against Petaluma, and I think he scored it was kind of like a Gale Sayers game when he played against the 49ers. But as soon as he got the ball, all he'd have to do was run towards the sidelines, and break it, and he was gone.
They ran yards then. There was a great kid by the name of Masters. It was Mel Gray's competition in the state in the sprints. I went to the Santa Rosa Relays, which used to be a great event.
Mm-hmm.
When Mel Gray beat Masters in a lean, and they both ran 9 500s.
Yeah, they were.
And eventually Mel ran a 9.4. That was the standard for, even with the conversion, for years.
That was like Bob Hayes speed or whatever,
Right. Of course, he was an All-American at Missouri.
Yes.
And went on, was an All-Pro 7 years for the Cardinals.
Yeah, the old St. Louis.
Yeah.
He had a great career.
Great
one
career.
of the great athletes that would come out. And Percy was a great running back.
Phenomenal.
Did he play college?
Oregon State.
That's right.
Yeah. He had a good career.
Yeah.
And Jim Wilkie had a great career at Stanford, but got hurt, bleeding kidney, and didn't finish his career really, but played in the Shrine Game, had a remarkable game down in L.A. I saw that game. So, yeah, those guys were exceptional athletes.
Yeah. Another guy that from Cardinal Newman, I know he just kind of gave a locker room speech recently, was Jerry Robinson.
Yeah, that was posted.
Yeah.
I love Jerry. Jerry was 4 years behind me, actually. He came in as the 9th grader the year I graduated, and graduated in 75.
Right.
Most remarkable athlete I've ever seen. I saw him scissor 6'6" in the high jump. He was 6'1", and he never high jumped. He was that kind of athlete.
No, he's. I got to play a little, like I said, summer over in Sonoma State, play summer league kind of games over there, and his first I knew who he was, but I didn't know what kind of athlete he was, and oh my goodness,
Unbelievable athlete. Well, he was a defensive rookie of the year in NFL his first year out. He was 3-time contested All-American at UCLA, and he was voted the 17th best college player to play in the 20th century.
Yeah.
So, that's kind of rare air.
Yeah. And the basketball team they played on in 75, where they lost one game?
25-1, they lost to Bishop O'Dowd down near about 4 days after football was over. I saw the game. Barely lost.
What a team that was.
That was a great team.
I was trying to, let me go back and see who was on that.
I can tell you who's on that team. Bernard Proctor.
Yeah. He was a great
Jerry Robinson. They had some really good players in that
Pat
team.
Fitzgerald.
Pat was really a good player. Pat could play offense. He could shoot it.
And Lumpkins.
Yep, he was young then. He wasn't. Yeah, that was Larry.
Yes.
Charlie played with me.
Yes.
Charlie is an 8th grader. Lumpkins, that played with me, he was a year older than me. He was a player of the year, 8th grade player of the year in Alabama, and they moved here. He was good. Larry went down. Larry actually went down. He played college basketball. Charlie, the one that played with me, went down and played his college basketball at Irvine. Had a good career at Irvine. But they were great players, both Lumpkins brothers.
Yeah. I mean, the Cardinal Newman sort of legacy as far as putting out great athletes in a lot of different sports has been great. One thing I thought when I saw one of your interviews, so you're kind of a music lover too, right?
Yeah, I really like music. There's certain types of music I like more than others, but pop culture, I try to stay with it because I teach the high school kids, right?
Yeah.
But when you talk about Beatles, Stones, back in the day, we saw a lot of those people in person. Never saw the Beatles, but saw the Stones, Jefferson Airplane, Fleetwood Mac.
Well, I was going to bring up the one that threw the glass of water on you and your girlfriend.
Jim Morrison. Yeah. Young guy. Santa Rosa Veterans Memorial Building. Yeah, that was a classic. Yeah.
I don't think you really knew who they were at that time, right? Or did you kind of know a little bit about them or something?
Well, you know what? When the Doors came to Santa Rosa, they hadn't released the Green Album yet.
Oh, okay. So they were still kind of unknown a little bit.
And they played Break On Through, and then they played Light My Fire, and everybody goes, wow, what a great song. Well, you know how big that song became.
Yeah.
But yeah, they played in Santa Rosa before they were big.
Yeah. Saw Janice a couple of times. Janice Joplin, right?
Big Brother and Holding Company.
Yes.
Yeah. She used to play it. She used to come up a lot of times open mic, and the owner of the end of the beginning was a cousin of Mick Jagger.
Oh, okay.
and you get all these great artists because back in the day they just wanted to perform.
Yeah, I had a friend of mine, his brother Tim Burnett, his brother John worked there kind of at the beginning, and I asked him one time what was the best show there, and I guess it was a band with Boz Scaggs and Steve Miller in it when they were.
They're unbelievable venue, a little tiny place.
What? I never heard.
We used to go there all the time. They had
it was
remarkable
huge. They had
artists.
All the greats kind of went there. Neil Young and on and on and on. Yeah, it was. They're one of the great little spots. In Sonoma County for sure.
Another really good spot was Uncle Sam's out there in Sebastopol. Mm-hmm. That was another place where you could get some really good artists. Yeah, I love music. Always have.
Let me talk a little bit too. Going back to John Fitzgerald. Now we're kind of jumping back and forth here, but the John Wooden connection with him too. I mean, was he? It seemed like he was.
Coach Fitzgerald personally knew John Wooden. In fact, they would correspond. They would write letters to one another, and I would go down when he first started coaching as a young coach. I was a JV coach there. Coach Fitzgerald, I would go down to the Coach of the Year clinic that was at Stanford, and Coach Wooden would actually eat breakfast with us. And he would call Coach Fitzgerald Johnny. So, yeah,
they were close then.
They were. They were.
And I know that the Woodens had an influence on you. I mean, that pyramid is.
I have it in my room. Yeah.
Bobby Knight, I know.
Be quick, but don't hurry. One of my favorites. Yes. But, yeah, and the Wooden is one of a kind.
Yes. I think I mean, if you're going to name some of the greatest coaches ever in any sport in the United States, Wooden's name's got to be right. Right
The
there.
Sporting News, 3 out of 4 of the writers for the Sporting News in the year 2000 picked him as the greatest all-time coach in all sports.
Yeah, no, it's hard to disagree with that.
It is.
Because he not only did, the coaching record is phenomenal. I mean, 88 wins in a row at one point.
10 national titles,
yeah,
12
Of
years.
course, he had a couple of good players there, too.
They're pretty good. Yeah.
But he won without them, too, which was
He did. Have that first championship with Walt Hansard and Gail Goodrich.
Mm-hmm.
He could flat out coach.
Sidney Wicks later on.
And Curtis Rowe. Yeah.
So, I mean, it did help that he had Jabbar, and then he had Walton too. But his big thing is, I think, his philosophy and everything is what everybody has picked up on, and what other coaches have, I think, tried to emulate. And that's his sort of, his wins and losses. Yes, it's there to everybody to see, but it's almost like the person and the philosophy is what remains.
Coach Fitzgerald, a lot like Wooden, smaller version.
Mm-hmm.
But it was always about life, about God, about faith, about your behavior, loving your teammates, being unselfish. Those are all Wooden things.
Mm-hmm.
And he taught us that, and I try to teach my players that. I've always tried to teach my players that. But, sports is a microcosm of life.
Mm-hmm. Of course, yeah.
It's about the lessons you can teach them doing something they enjoy doing. That's the value of sports.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that, too, then, because you've been a teacher longer than you've been a coach.
47 years. 8,500 kids.
So I know you've had a lot of athletes go through your ranks and that kind of thing, and you've had the close relationship, but touching that many lives, I mean, that's a small city, 8,500 people. How does that feel to have, been a part of that, and being able to inspire and
well,
have some say in, how their lives are going to turn out?
I tell you, it's a vocation. It's a gift from God, and it's a talent. It's a God-given talent, and I pursued it. I had great teachers, great coaches,
Mm-hmm.
great players, great families. A lot of support.
Mm-hmm.
Like right now, I have a wonderful wife, Valerie. She's a great support. My brother Jerry's been with me, can you believe this, for over 1,200 games.
I believe,
So from the beginning.
Yeah, you're there. Yeah, I mean, he's been with you for a very long time.
From the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah. From the beginning. So,
And he was AD at the Cardinal, wasn't he, for a little bit? Or?
He was the athletic director for a while, then assistant AD. And then he came down here with me. He still does a lot of things around the school. But he's my rock.
Mm-hmm.
I had my times where I'm a little haywire. My brother was always
the rock, the
one that kept me, straight and in line, as straight as he could. And I'm lucky. I got Valerie, I got Jerry in my life. God's always there for me. And I love St. Vincent's small classes. Petaluma, a great community. And I'm real happy here, and it's a good place to end my career.
Mm-hmm.
I may continue to coach. I'll see about that.
Mm-hmm.
Teach. Coaching, I'll be done.
Yeah.
I made that decision last year. And
I heard that you were, coaching is, this is your last season.
But the teaching I always like better than the coaching.
I mean, you're so, just talking to you yesterday when you were kind of in between classes or whatever it was, and you could just tell you had, this, that you're, when you do something for 47 years, you've developed, a great rapport and a way to do things.
Well, you know what a lot of it is? You can burn out without the Spirit. The energy comes from God.
Mm-hmm.
And I get energy from my students. I get energy from my players. I get energy from my wife, my brother, my support base. But yeah, and you know what? They talk about teacher burnout. I've never really experienced teacher burnout.
Yeah.
Now I'm 70, I'm getting a little bit of burnout, physically maybe, but not
But not the
spirit.
and that everything is still
Yeah.
going on. And you've taught just about everything. I mean, it's
Everything but foreign language.
Yeah. I was impressed with that because from math, social services, history, biology, a little bit of everything.
Total
Theology,
anthropology,
anthropology.
biology. Yeah. I love the social sciences. I love the APs. AP macroeconomics down there, and I've taught AP US, AP World, AP European. I like the social sciences.
Yeah, and I know stuff that you like to read is like history related and those kind of things too, which is what I like to do.
And of course, I love doing God's work. I'm teaching theology.
Yes,
I love doing that.
Wow, and so let's go. So we had Cardinal Newman. You had your stretch there, which was great. I mean, you were especially in the 80s, you were the best team around here.
Without a doubt, we won.
The best of the decade, too, right? Best record of any school around here.
In the 80s, we won over 200 games. 10 years, that's a lot of games.
Well, I think you averaged like 20 wins.
20.7 in my career.
For your career, I mean.
And I think we can exceed that this year, yeah.
We had like 4 teams with over 30 wins.
Only teams with 30 wins ever to play in this county in the large schools. I coached all 4 of them. Yeah.
Wow.
And 25 teams that won 20 games or more. And I think this will be my 26th team with 20 games or more.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I hope.
And then how many, would you have, 17 total titles, right? League titles?
16 league championships, 2 sections, 2 NorCals. And kind of an amazing, we won 2 tournaments this year. My teams in the 42 years won 59 tournaments. And we won 56 sectional and state playoff games.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that because you won the inaugural Gary Von Racefield.
Yep, played really well.
Tournament. And I was so proud to see you guys win that for him. I
love Gary, and Gary was the
talk
true
a little
Mustang.
bit about him. What he meant to St.
I knew Gary Galloway very well. Gary and I actually played together at JC. So when I came down, I knew Gary really well. Gary welcomed me. Gary kind of took care of me when I got down there. Gary loved the kids. Would do anything for the kids. He loved that school. I mean, that was his life.
Mm-hmm.
And naming the tournament after him, winning the tournament, special for me, but also my players.
Mm-hmm.
And we beat a really good elite team in the finals.
Yes, I want to say, wasn't. I mean, I was a little surprised. You guys won it,
by 19.
Because you're playing really good teams in that tournament. So, I just, and Gary was, he did a little bit of everything at that school.
Gary was the glue of that school.
I mean, stats and football, basketball. I mean, didn't matter what.
Anything that happened there in 42 years, he could tell you about it. And normally did tell you about it.
Yeah.
Did.
So that was, and then you guys won another tournament after that too, right?
We won a tournament down there in Waterford, which is 12 miles from Modesto. We beat a really good Rio Vista team in the opener.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they're undefeated in their league right now. We beat this Big Valley Christian team.
Yeah, we were just talking about that. So
15-1. They were the real deal.
Yeah.
They were really good. That was the best team we played all year, I think. Elite was awfully good. Elite hasn't lost, I don't think, since we beat them.
You said they're like 6-0 after they were.
Yeah. So, those were good teams.
Right.
And we played some weaker teams, but we playing in our division, We're pretty good.
Well, you're playing in a really tough division. I mean, you Rancho Cotati, Ukiah, LC. I know Healdsburg's not kind of what
they're down.
They're down a little bit, but those other.
But Rancho and LC are very competitive. We're gonna have a tough game Friday night. We got beat in a close one last night.
Yeah.
But Rancho, but Ukiah is a quality team. Ukiah lost to Cardinal Newman by 1 point.
Yeah, and they've got a
Newman
couple
just
of,
beat Montgomery.
I mean, and Ukiah's, they've got some size, right? I mean, don't they have?
They go 6'6", 6'6" in the back, and 6'4" shooting guard, 6'2", 6'3", and 6'7" on the bench. Yeah, they're huge.
Yeah,
We had trouble with the size. The length
that
was a
one
problem.
kid, Zacharias or whatever. Zacharias?
Zacharias is a player.
Yeah.
Had him 4 years. He's been there 4 years.
Ooh, yeah, so
Yeah,
it seems
he's
like
good.
he's really come on. I mean, yeah. So let's talk a little bit about your team. Let's do that right now too. So you've got a couple of guys that transferred over.
And you know what? Unfairly, in my opinion, the section wouldn't allow those guys to play for a year. I didn't even know who those guys were. But we got Anton Rocco, came over from Petaluma, and then so did Justin Greco, fine player, and of course Cole Williams came from Casa. Cole's really a fine player.
Yeah.
But those 3 kids, they made them sit a whole year.
Yeah.
And I see these other guys transferring for basketball to schools I'm not going to name, and they become eligible in January.
Yeah.
The consistency in the section's not there.
But those kids wanted to play for you. So I mean, the fact that they even had to sit out a year and they said, "Oh yeah, we'll do it because we want to play for you." That's got to, tug on you a little bit there because
It does. I feel bad they lost a year, but they're great kids, and a lot of our success has to do with those 3 kids that came over. Yeah, it does.
and they've become leaders on your team too. I mean,
Yeah, Cole's definitely the leader, no
Yeah.
doubt. Yeah, good player.
and he's a good player too. Yeah,
Also a good human being, person of character, unselfish guy, hard worker.
and then you got Sebastian too. That's
He can shoot it, not real big, but returning all-league player, very fine player. And, kind of the heart of our team is, Josh Malik's a great rebounder. Josh averaging over 10 rebounds a game. We're not real big. So he's got to go up. He's going up against 6'8" kid at Elsie on Friday.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, yeah. And of course, there's an art to rebounding too, though, that you very well know.
You got to have a nose for it.
Yeah,
you do.
There's some guys that even go back when I played. There's. I think you learned it almost like on the blacktop.
Look at Dennis Rodman.
You know.
I mean, yeah, some guys are like you have pure shooters. Some guys are natural rebounders.
Yeah.
Josh is a natural rebounder. But, we have a great group of seniors on this team.
Yeah.
They're unselfish. They're motivated. They're coachable. And, we have a sophomore point guard, Jack. Montaños does a really good job, too. I mean, we have the numbers, the natural numbers. It's a good basketball team.
Yeah, and you got it's almost all league games going forward now, right? Isn't it?
We have one non-league left with Carrillo. Maria Carrillo's got a solid
that's right.
team.
We talked about that. Yeah.
And then we got one more game here against Elsie. Then we play everybody again. Then we go to league playoffs and sectionals.
So I saw your spot on was it Channel 2?
Yeah, that was nice.
That was fun.
Christina Rondon did a good job. She came up early.
I think I actually was watching the news at the time, but I caught like almost just kind of the very end of it or something. So I went back and watched it. She did a really good job.
One of my former players called me and said they watched it 4 times. It was in 4 time slots.
Okay.
Yeah. That was nice.
That was fun. Yeah. And then you got a big event coming up on the 27th.
Saturday, yeah.
4:30. Hillsburg that night, right?
Yeah, we do. It's at our gym. It's at 4:30. The festivities start. We tip off at 5. There's going to be a really, really lot of fun after the game, a reception at Tillman in the outdoor heated area in the patio. And there's going to be quite a few folks coming.
Well, it sounded like you had kids coming from
overseas,
right?
I got kids coming from out of state. My first captain's flying in, former Marine from North Carolina, Troy Blank. Tom Nunes on my first team. Drove up from Sacramento to sell jerseys at our Friday night game.
That's right, the Bonfigli.
Bonfather, yeah. I mean, yeah, and it.
Now, did he develop that, or who gave you the Bonfigli?
I'll tell you who, in my opinion, the person that brought that into public occurrence, Dante Antonini, was the first person to ever call me that. That is not a Newman thing. That's a Mustang thing.
Okay.
The Bonfather.
Well, it is grown.
It has grown. Yeah, I've been called a lot of other names.
Yeah,
some good, some bad.
This is a pretty good one, then.
That's a good one. Yeah, it is. It's a good one.
Yeah. No, I saw them, so I think they sold out. I actually went online kind of looking for one, and they said, no, they're...
You know what? I know they sold a couple hundred early. He was up to sell, and then he was actually distributing some before he went back to Sacramento with houses and stuff, former players. But, he told me 180 before he sold all those in line. I don't know how many, but a bunch.
No, it's a bunch.
It's a bunch.
Yeah, and a great concept and a lot of fun, with that and everything.
Completely their idea. I had nothing to do with this.
Yeah.
I don't even know what's going to happen, but I'm really humbled by the fact that they're going to do something like that.
Yeah. I'd kind of like to go to that, but I'm going actually to a concert up in Healdsburg with some friends of mine. But
Healdsburg's a neat little town.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
And then I think St. Vincent's even has like a couple events kind of coming. They got crab feed.
Coming up soon. Yeah, we're going to go to that for sure.
So that's what, February 10th, I believe.
Yes,
February
10th. Yes, correct.
Okay.
And we've been doing a good job raising money. People are working hard. We got some good fundraisers planned.
Yeah, there's like a shredding event too, or is it
that's this weekend.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you this: the ladies in that office are miracle workers. Starting with Alice and Falvey, our crew in the office, they're tremendous. They're working their tail off. So is our board. We got a really great board now.
No, I think everything's kind of moving in the right direction.
We're working at it, man.
Yeah,
we are.
Which I'm proud to hear that.
We're giving it the best effort we have.
Yeah. So the shredding event, it's almost like I guess you bring your documents and stuff like that.
Yeah, and it goes by baskets and we shred them. Yeah. It's a good deal.
Yeah, and where is the crab feed?
St. Vincent. It's in our gymnasium.
Okay, at the gymnasium. Okay.
It's in our gymnasium.
So if you're, I can't really super promote it, but I mean,
we had to wait a long time to get the crab, right?
Yeah.
I love crab. I haven't had a lot of it yet, but my wife and I are going.
Oh my goodness, yeah. No, I'm a crab fiend, so I'd love to. Yeah, I'll be going to that. Let's reflect a little bit then, because I know you got. I was looking at some of the players and stuff. I know you've put quite a few kids have gone on to play sports at Division I, even quite
seven
a few,
Division
right?
7 Division I's, 45 other players. Most recently, one of my kids, Kenny Love, that was on the winningest team ever to play in the Empire, 32-4, a net 13 team.
Mm-hmm.
He was a Division III first team All-American. Now he's a head basketball girls coach at Whitworth College where he played. And kind of interesting, he was the outstanding male athlete with 31 sports at Whitworth.
Wow.
Amazing young man, yeah. But, and of course, I had Bobby Sharp and going back, Michael Hofstetter and Tony Baldacci and Sheridan Silver. And, I've had some really exceptional players. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have.
So, let's see what else we can kind of bring up with you.
Number of wins. You know where that thing's at now?
Oh, that's right. I mean, you're up at number 6 now.
Okay. Second all time in the section.
North Coast. And
behind Don Lippy.
So Lippy was
St.
Joe's?
917.
Which is where, is that where Jason Kidd went?
Yes.
He was a pretty good player.
But see, Jason Kidd didn't play for Don Lippy.
No, he didn't.
No, he played for...
well, that's right, because the other coach that's
he passed away, died of cancer.
Yes.
But he coached at St. Mary's for a while.
Yes.
He played for him. But Don, rare, won 3 state titles in 3 different divisions.
Now that's an exceptional coach.
No. And I know Don personally.
I'm sure.
He called me and said, before I retire, I want to know how long you're going to do it, because I was right behind him. I said, Don, I'm retiring next year. He goes, I'm getting out now. So, yeah, he's at 917. Right now I'm at 861. So I'm second in the section. I'm 6th all-time in California. And I'm 22nd nationally among active coaches.
How about all-time everybody?
Everybody, I'm an all-time everybody. I'm in the top 50.
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, if you go...
There are a lot of high schools in the United States, yeah.
Well, and you're talking the history of the United States, too.
Yeah, that's right.
That's huge. That's huge. I know you got your 500th win, at Justin Siena?
Justin Siena,
right?
Yep. 600, 700 were at Newman. 800 was at Newman.
800 was a big one for you, too. I know that was...
That was huge. Because I became the 10th coach ever to win 800 games in California.
And I know you had a lot of kids kind of show up for that game and that kind of thing, too.
A lot of them. A lot of posters.
Yeah. So that had to be a really special game.
It was very special, yeah. We beat Rancho. Consequently beat Rancho in the Rose City tournament from 800 to win, yeah.
Yeah, and who did you just pass then? Who was the coach you just...
Okay, well...
Because you were tied, I think, going into this year.
I was tied with Mike Phelps. Mike used to coach at Bishop O'Dowd. We both had 843. So my first game we won, I passed him. But, when I got to 800, there's a whole bunch of coaches, great coaches. Of course, you had Coach Abrami, who was at Emeryville for so long. He was at 801 or 803. You had at 801 the great coach, Willie West at Crenshaw.
Oh, yeah.
Great
I've seen
coach.
that name before, yeah.
Past those guys, and then recently, Coach Sianovich Santa Clara, who beat my Cardinal team in the state final in 89, he was at 829. Tom Orlick, who now assisted at Stanford, he was like 832. So, last 4 or 5 guys that passed to me are iconic coaches, those guys. Yeah.
And some of them you coached against.
I did.
Yeah.
I did, and sometimes that wasn't as much fun as,
Yeah.
You learned a lot, but they were great coaches.
So you played in 2 state championships?
2 state championships, 89 and 13. Huge underdogs in both.
Yeah.
Played it
you
right.
had to be.
Played it right to the bone in both. 13, we're up 1 with 2 minutes. And Cal I had us 28 point.
Pacific Hills or which one?
Yeah, and we were 28 point underdogs online. We're up by 1.
Yeah, it's
They beat us in a bank 3. They had 3 blue chip Division I players. All of them started as freshmen at the colleges they went to. Washington, Missouri. They were legit. They were good.
That's stacked. Huh?
Yeah, they were good.
Wow. And then what was the other one you played?
We played Santa Clara Oxnard in 89. Santa Clara Oxnard, this kid Sean Tarver, who was a National High School Player of the Year, Player of the Year, State of California. They were the only...
I've heard that name before.
He went and played European basketball. He was a star over there. Sean Tarver was incredible. 6'5" guard, left-hander. And that year they beat us. They were averaging 90 a game. Okay, they were 34 and 0. They beat us to go 35 and 0 undefeated. They're number 1 ranked team in all divisions here. They beat Huntington Beach, who was the number 1 ranked Division I team. And I'll tell you, we had to play them down in Oxnard 40-36 after 3 quarters. We're only down 4 with about a minute and a half. We're right there. Mm-hmm. That 89 team was a phenomenal team I had. That was a great team.
Who was on that 89 team?
Hofstetter and Silver both were D1 guys.
Okay.
Hofstetter played for Bobby Pascal of South Florida. Sheridan played at San Jose. Those guys are both first-team All-State players at JC. Mike Hofstetter went to Skyline, played South Florida, played in the Sweet 16, actually. 2 years for Bobby Pascal. Sheridan went down. He was 2 years at JC, first-team All-State. And Sheridan went down, started down at Cal Poly, was their captain down there, average doubles, was really a good player. Yeah. And then we had some other kids, Brad Monahan, Division I football star at Calhoun, tore a vertebrae in his neck, but he was a defensive player of the game in the Copper Bowl as a freshman at Cal. And then Tom Wellborn went on, and Adam Peacock went on. Those guys, Adam played volleyball in college in the Nationals. Tom was a great water polo guy. He was a goalie. Remarkable athletes in that team. Yeah, it was a great team.
You played before you went to Santa Clara. Did you go to You went to JC for a little
Went
bit. Went
JC and played 2 years there. Played basketball for Hank Cooper for 2 years. Enjoyed that. Was captain there. Played JC football. My freshman year JC football, I wasn't the starting quarterback. Patrick, who went to Santa Rosa, was. That year we went to the state final. We lost. That year we lost in the state final at junior college. Coach Mays was coaching us. We lost to a team out of North Torrance, El Camino College, who had 9 Division I full scholarship athletes. I'm talking about SC, Notre Dame, that kind of stuff. Yeah, they were good.
Wow.
Yeah, they beat us 48-27.
Still, that's not a blowout. That's a good game.
Well, it wasn't a good game the first half. They were legit. They had a kid, Coy Hall, a quarterback. He later went on and played at Toledo and never lost a college game.
Oh.
Great quarterback.
Toledo's kind of a powerhouse for the
Back then, Toledo Rockets were top of the line.
Yes, yeah.
They were the 1AA, but they were really good.
Yeah. So who'd you play basketball with at JC?
I played with the Thomas brothers from Petaluma.
Oh, Dave?
A kid by the name of Mike Healy that played at Reardon was a good player. Couple of my own players, Rudy Navarro, remember the guy that scored 73 points from Geisville? Rudy was on my team, good player. We had some good players.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of local guys. We had a good year. That year, West Valley's number 1 in the state. We lost by 1 at home against them. We won more than we lost. That was a tough division that used to be really good teams. West Valley was in there. DeAnza was in there. Foothill was in there. There were no gimmies in there. It was a tough league.
What league was that then? It wasn't Far West then.
Camino Norte Conference.
Huh.
The CNC, the Camino Norte. A lot of good Northern California schools, yeah.
Wow.
But we were very competitive, and I played some good guys, and we had a lot of fun playing, yeah.
Yeah, I still got the, let's see, still got the one record still at Cardinal Newman there. I don't know if you mentioned that. It was, you still have the assist record there.
For
average there. Like 7.3?
Yeah, per game. And you know what? Wasn't a scorer, was a defender and a passer. And, as a coach, that's kind of where my priorities have always lied. I've had some great scorers, but passing and defense are what I would like to think I teach the best, sure.
I mean, those to me, those are the two most important things in basketball. I mean,
and they're hard.
Defense, even when the Warriors were kind of winning, a lot. I mean, they had Curry, and those kind of thing, but they played great defense.
See, now they got to score 140 points to win. It's a different deal. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Different deal.
What is your take on the Warriors? Since you're, I mean...
No, you know what? Right now, nobody wants to take on the Warriors. No, that's not where you'd want to be. I think Kerr is a Hall of Fame coach.
Yes.
Maybe you look at Phil Jackson. I'm a Celtic fan.
Okay.
You got to look at Red Auerbach.
Uh-huh.
And you look at Steve Kerr. He's in that class.
Yeah,
as a
definitely. Definitely.
And...
What does he have, like 9 rings or something like that?
Yeah, as a player, too.
Player and coach.
But, I mean, you know what? They don't have the chemistry.
Yeah.
And they've had it for years, but when you're getting booed by your own fans, that's not a good thing,
Yeah, it seems like it's gone off the rails a little bit.
It is. And I think
I love it, though. I just had, a guy who played pro basketball all over the world, Europe and you name a country, he's played there, Tim Parham. And he just said, they're getting old and they're slow, and
the other thing
catches up with you after a while. I mean, they had a great run.
Well, and look at in the regular season, they're playing 82. They're going to finals. They're playing 104, 106, 108 games. And then how long off before you're playing again and you're back into it?
Yeah.
No, it does. It physically breaks you down for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, it didn't help the whole thing with Draymond and
No.
all that stuff.
You don't need all the distractions. It's hard enough to play, yeah.
Yeah. And, I kind of expect them to, the trade deadline's in a couple of weeks here or something.
I don't know if they're going to make playoffs. They're right in a bubble. We'll see.
Well, unless they make a big trade but a lot of the players, Siakam, just got traded, and there was a name that was floated out there as one of the players they could try to go after. So, I don't know. I just don't know other than Kuminga, who they have that other teams would want.
And
what are you going to get back to, and how's
older
that
players with high salaries are not great things to try to trade.
Well, the one, I guess, Chris Paul, he's only got like 1 year on his contract, I guess.
He's hurt too, yeah.
And they could package him in a trade with somebody because that's an expiring contract, and they get that,
right, they get that money back,
back. So and it's $31 million or whatever. So
I know
it's not like a little, it's not a small amount. So it's just kind of interesting. It's a little tougher to follow them, and I know it's got to be tough on their veteran players, like especially Curry, who's, I think, got to be considered at the end of his career one of the top 10 players ever played.
I agree, and I think he's still got a couple of good years, but he's getting toward the end of his career, and you know what? He can't carry that team every night, he's got to have help.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And it used to be Clay and those kind of guys that would, could pitch in, but Clay is, last year everybody said, he had kind of a bad year, but he was still averaged like 20 points a game last year, and I think led the league in 3-pointers.
You look at
this year.
You look at the best NBA teams when you're talking about Milwaukee, talking about Philadelphia, the rise of Philadelphia. You talk about, those elite teams, of course, the Nuggets. They have the great player. They have a second really good player and scorer, and they have a third guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you got to have three. I don't think you can do it with two.
No.
And those teams have the three.
Well, not only that, teams are getting younger and more athletic, and
exactly.
That creates, even Tolbert was talking about the other day. And the thing is like they just can't keep anybody in front of them when they're playing defense because they're just a step, a little half step or whatever slower than these young guys that are coming up, and they're all 6'8" to 6'6" to like 6'9", and they can run the floor. And
remember the people don't realize the pro court is 10 feet longer than a high school court. Mm-hmm. It's 104, and it's another 8 feet wider. Mm. Well, that's a huge venue.
Yes.
That's a lot of real estate to cover. Yeah, it's tough. And everybody runs isolation. Everyone's drive and kick, and you're stretched thin.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have
they just don't. They play against a big guy, and it just doesn't go well either.
Well, and even their guards, they don't have a lot of length either. They have small guards. You got to have some length. Yeah.
So we'll see. I will see if they make a trade or do something like that. But I think we're going to wrap it up, Coach.
Okay.
Thanks for coming in.